Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly Profile here, and welcome. We're so happy to have you today. Appreciate you putting the time into us. Today, we're going to have a really short but special show for you. It's called Risk versus Reward, and we want your feedback on it. This is going to be the risk versus the reward with the jury. And certainly, we want your comments. Your comments are very important to us. We always like to know what you think. We're very concerned about that. And it gives us an idea of where we're going, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Please feel free to subscribe. We'd love your subscriptions and your likes. So like and subscribe, please. This time we want to send our deepest condolences out to the victims and their families. Poor Libby, poor Abby, murdered up on the trail. And all we could do is send our deepest condolences and sympathies out to their families and friends. Hopefully, we've headed in the right direction here. And hopefully, if Richard Allen is found guilty, then there'll be some dues paid for some nasty deeds done. And of course, we have to put our disclaimer out there. Everybody's innocent, proven guilty in a court of law, including Richard Allen. He's presumed innocent until he is found guilty in a court of law. To all you production companies that follow us, we really enjoy your feedback when we hear from you, and we're interested in talking to you about a few projects we have finished up. I think you'll find them interesting. We have some great treatments that you'd like to read. With this being all said, on to our show. And we're talking about the jury heard from the prosecution. And the jury heard some damning evidence from law enforcement, right? So think about that. You got this damning evidence from law enforcement, finding the bullet between the two dead girls. Between Abby and Libby, a bullet, okay? Law enforcement finds that bullet and ties it to a gun that Richard Allen owns. Very important there. That's very important. That's a big find. And when I say big find, I mean this is big, because I'm going to tell you, I don't think you realize how many crime scenes where things are missed when they're searched. You'd be surprised, okay, how many things are missed or forgotten or left behind at various crime scenes. And it's not something law enforcement really wants to talk about a lot or bring out. That's why you don't hear much about it. But I've seen it in a number of cases that I've worked. It's not easy to perfectly find every single bit of every single piece of evidence in every crime scene. It's almost impossible, And I think this is very fortunate that this bullet was found. And it was found between the two dead girls. And Richard Allen put himself on the bridge. Remember, he's looking down at the fish, right? I mean, he put himself there. And he put himself dressed in certain clothes that matched bridge guy. Then, I don't know what the defense is going to do about the psychologist testimony. The psychologist had some really damning testimony there. So you have to look at all this and his admissions to the psychologist. I mean, that's major. You're talking about him, coming straight out and saying that he killed the girls. I mean, right then and there to the psychologist. And I have to believe this was around initial evaluation. I believe this took place before he got the discovery from his attorneys. Because as soon as he enters that prison and is put in protective custody, being a psych risk as well, because he could be suicidal. Man has a history of depression, right? So anyway, when you look at that and you realize that this guy got evaluated sooner than later, that's before he got the discovery. I would assume. I'm assuming that because they took him pretty much straight to that facility. I don't think they had him hanging around any local jail, the community jail. I mean, I think he was taken straight to the prison. If I got it right, I think so though, because they felt he could be a danger to himself, or they wanted to protect him from being hurt or killed by other inmates. I mean, let me tell you, people that kill young girls or are thought to have killed young girls don't do well in prison. There's no question about it. I mean, usually there's some guys in there that are really not happy with people like him. And he's a very high profile case, maybe the biggest who've done it in Indiana history. So you got to take this into concern. And then we have Richard Allen's various recordings of admissions of guilt, not only killing the girls, but molesting others, saying he's addicted to alcohol, saying he's addicted to sex. This is what we heard. Be it true or be it not, this is what we've heard. So, I mean, you're talking, he's saying, I'm a sex offender. I'm a sex offender of young girls, of underage girls. Lots for the jury to think about here. Lots to be considered here. Then we have, and I'm sure I'm missing some things, but don't forget I'm not there either, nor do I have anybody in the courthouse. I'll tell you what I do listen to consistently, and I would suggest Deb's notepad. It's fantastic. Deb's True Crime Notepad. She's right on top of everything. And she reads it so you don't have to. Okay. That's her slogan, and it's really true. All right. She's really good. And that's where I get a lot of my information. Then we have the neighbor's testimony. Okay. And I think after that, the prosecution rested after that. At this point, that's everything the prosecution wants to serve up. Now it's time for the defense to go into action. So we'll see what the defense has to say. But what I'm concerned about is the risk versus reward for the jury here. I want to hear about what you think at this point in time, how that jury is going to deal with what they heard from the prosecution. And when I talk about the risk versus the reward for the jury, what I'm focusing on is they can reward Richard Allen and find him not guilty, and he would be rewarded with, going free, becoming a free man, being able to leave prison and kind of do whatever he wants and start his life over. Okay, there'd be quite a reward for him there. But the risk for the jury is this, and picture yourself as being in this jury, because this is somewhere I don't want to be, and I'm glad I'm not there, okay? Bottom line is, if we think about setting Richard Allen free, what are we really doing here? What are we risking? What's the risk? Is the risk putting a child killer back on the street where he could reoffend? Is the risk putting a child sex offender back on the street where he can reoffend? All right? That's what the jury has to wrestle with. Is Richard Allen, if given the reward of being found not guilty and being found innocent to start his life over, will he be fine? And he's definitely not the killer, and definitely would not be a sex offender that would reoffend. Based on the information we got from the prosecution, the jury's put in a hell of a position to make a decision on this, right or wrong. That's what we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear everything you think about this, and thank God we're all not in that jury, because this is one hell of a decision that you got to live with for the rest of your life. With all that being said, many thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you and care about you. Please be careful out there. We live in a very violent world. Stay on your toes, be safe, and until we meet again, God bless. Take care.